Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to day 314 of Quran in a Year Plus, where we learn to look at the world and live life according to the lens of the Quran. Today we're going to be looking at verses 29 to 40 of Surah Al-Ghafir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا قوم لكم الملك اليوم ظاهرين في الأرض فمن ينصرنا من بأس الله إن جاءنا قال فرعون ما أريكم إلا ما أرى وما أهديكم إلا سبيل الرشاد. The believing man said, My people, today you possess authority and dominance in the land of Egypt. But who will protect us from Allah's punishment if it comes upon us because of killing Musa? Pharaoh replied, The decision is mine, and my judgment is final. I have decided that Musa should be killed to prevent evil and corruption. I am only directing you to what is right and guiding you to the correct course. وقال الذي آمن يا قوم إني أخاف عليكم مثل يوم الأحزاب. The believing man continued, sincerely advising his people, I fear that if you kill Musa unjustly and out of hostility, you will suffer a punishment like that which befell the former nations who united against their messengers and whom Allah destroyed. مثل دأب قوم نوح وعاد وثمود والذين من بعدهم وما الله يريد ظلما للعباد. Like the fate of the people of Nuh, Ad, Thamud, and those who came after them, Allah destroyed them because of their disbelief and their denial of His messengers. Allah does not wrong His servants in the least. Rather, He punishes them because of their sins with a punishment that perfectly matches what they have earned. وَيَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ يَوْمَ التَّنَادِ. My people, I fear for you the day of resurrection, the day of calling out, when people will call out to one another, seeking help through family ties, status, or influence, thinking that such things will benefit them in that terrifying situation. يَوْمَ تُوَلُّونَ مُدْبِرِينَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ وَمَنْ يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ هَادٍ. On that day, you will flee in terror from the fire, but there will be no one who can protect you from Allah's punishment. Whoever Allah abandons and does not grant the guidance to believe will have no guide to lead him, for the guidance that enables a person to accept the truth belongs to Allah alone. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ يُوسُفُ مِنْ قَبْلُ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ فَمَا زِلْتُمْ فِي شَكٍّ مِّمَّا جَاءَكُمْ بِهِ حتى إذا هلك قلتم لن يبعث الله من بعده رسولا كذلك يضل الله من هو مسرف مرتاب. Before Musa, Yusuf came to you with clear proofs affirming the oneness of Allah, yet you continued to doubt and deny the message he brought. Then after he passed away, your doubt only increased, and you said, Allah will never send another messenger after him. Just as you are misguided from the truth, Allah leads astray every person who transgresses the limits of Allah and doubts His oneness. الذين يجادلون في آيات الله بغير سلطان أتاهم كبر مقتا عند الله وعند الذين آمنوا كذلك يطبع الله على كل قلب متكبر جبار. Those who argue against Allah's signs in an attempt to invalidate them without possessing any evidence or proof earn immense hatred from Allah and from those who believe in Him and His messengers. Just as Allah sealed the hearts of those who disputed His signs in order to reject them, He seals the heart of every arrogant and tyrannical person, leaving them unable to recognize the truth or be guided to what is right. وقال فرعون يا هامان ابن لي صرحا لعلي أبلغ الأسباب. Pharaoh said to his minister Haman, "Build for me a lofty tower so that I may reach the means leading upward. أسباب السماوات فأطلع إلى إله موسى وإني لأظنه كاذبا وكذلك زين لفرعون سوء عمله وصد عن السبيل وما كيد فرعون إلا في تباب." So that I may reach the pathways of the heavens and look upon the God of Musa, whom he claims is the only true deity. But I certainly think that Musa is lying in what he claims. In this way, Fir'aun's evil deeds were made appealing to him when he demanded that Haman build the tower. He was turned away from the path of truth and diverted onto the path of misguidance. Fir'aun's plotting to promote the falsehood he clung to and to extinguish the truth that Musa brought ended only in ruin, for its outcome was failure, disappointment, and everlasting misery. وقال الذي آمن يا قوم اتبعون أهدكم سبيل الرشاد. The believing man from Fir'aun's family continued to sincerely advise his people and guide them to the path of truth. He said, "My people, follow me, and I will guide you to the path of sound judgment and true guidance." يا قوم إنما هذه الحياة الدنيا متاع وإن الآخرة هي دار القرار. My people, this worldly life is only a temporary enjoyment with pleasures that soon come to an end. So do not let its passing attractions deceive you. The hereafter, with its everlasting bliss that never ends, is the true home of permanent residence. Therefore, prepare for it through obedience to Allah, and beware of becoming so occupied with this worldly life that you neglect to work for the hereafter. من عمل سيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها ومن عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فأولئك يدخلون الجنة يرزقون فيها بغير حساب. Whoever commits an evil deed will be recompensed only with its equivalent. No additional punishment will be inflicted upon them. But whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, while believing in Allah and His messengers, those are the ones who will enter paradise on the day of resurrection. There, Allah will provide them with the fruits, blessings, and everlasting delights He has prepared for them, provisions without measure or limit. As we reflect over today's verses, we continue the story of the believing man from Fir'aun's people. And these verses present us with two very different uses of the intellect. The believing man uses his intellect in the service of faith. He becomes wiser, clearer, and more courageous. Fir'aun uses his intellect in the service of falsehood. He becomes more deceptive, defensive, and spiritually blind. Ibn Ashur mentions, when the believing man sensed that his argument had begun to prevail among them and had entered their hearts, he felt safe from their aggression. He seized the opportunity created by the weakening of their resolve and openly declared his purpose of believing in Musa. He followed the method of skilled speakers and debaters, who, after establishing their premises and presenting their arguments, proceed directly to the intended conclusion. He then admonished them with these words, "My people, authority belongs to you today, and you are dominant in the land. But who will protect us from Allah's punishment if it comes upon us?" Wisdom is knowing what to say, how to say it, and when to say it as well. He said, "Who will protect us?" He included himself in the warning. He was not speaking to them with self-righteousness or treating them as people unworthy of being saved. He was speaking as someone sincerely concerned for his people. He also reminded them that their present strength could not guarantee their future safety. They possessed authority, they were dominant in the land, but what would their armies, wealth, and political power mean if the punishment of Allah came upon them? He continued calling them. He was not discouraged by Fir'aun's resistance or by the stubbornness of those around him. He said, "My people, I fear for you a fate like the fate of the former nations who opposed their messengers." Sheikh Sa'di says, the believing man repeated his call to his people, never despairing of their guidance. This is the way of those who call others to Allah. They continue inviting people to their Lord without being deterred by any obstacle, nor discouraged by the stubbornness of those they call. Instead, they persist in repeating the invitation. The believer was not merely trying to win an argument, he was trying to save his people. That is why he repeatedly called them my people. And he continued presenting the truth from different angles because he had not given up on their guidance. And he said, "My people, I fear for you the day of calling out." Imam al-Qurtubi mentions the believing man increased his admonition and warning and openly declared his faith. He did so either because he had accepted the possibility of being killed and had prepared himself for it, or because he was confident that they would not harm him. Allah protected him from their schemes, as he said, so Allah protected him from the evil of what they plotted. Many times courage develops through action. You may not begin with the confidence to say or do everything, but each time you follow the truth, Allah gives you the strength to take the next step. And when the moment came to declare his faith clearly and defend the truth, he did not hesitate. And while the believing man was helping people think, Fir'aun was trying to prevent them from thinking. He said, "I only show you what I see to be right, and I only guide you to the path of sound judgment." Ibn Ashur says, Fir'aun realized that the believing man's speech to his people was actually directed at him. So he interrupted him and explained why he had resolved to kill Musa. He claimed that he had proposed this only because he saw no benefit except in killing Musa, considered no other course of action to be correct, and believed that this alone was the path of sound judgment. It was as though he wanted to prevent the believing man's advice from finding any place in the hearts of his chiefs, fearing that they might be influenced by his sincere counsel and refuse to support Fir'aun in killing Musa. Fir'aun was not presenting evidence, he was asking people to surrender their judgment to him. He said, "I only show you what I see." In other words, you do not need to examine the issue yourselves. Accept my judgment because I know best. He wanted to control the entire narrative. He then ordered Haman to build him a tower, claiming that he wanted to look upon the God of Musa. He said, "The ways leading to the heavens, so that I may look upon the God of Musa, though I certainly think he is a liar." Ibn Atiyah said, when Fir'aun said before his chiefs, "so that I may look upon the God of Musa," his words implicitly acknowledged the existence of Musa's God. He then hastily corrected himself by saying, "Indeed, I think he is a liar," as an anxious attempt to avoid that implication. Even Fir'aun's language betrayed him. He had to quickly correct himself because he feared that his own words might cause people to think. And Ibn Uthaymeen mentions regarding Fir'aun's statement, "And I certainly think that he is a liar." This shows that the leaders and imams of misguidance call people toward error using every means available to them. They attempt to place barriers between people and the truth. When Fir'aun said, "I certainly think that he is a liar," he meant that he supposedly thought Musa was lying in claiming that he had a god other than Fir'aun. Fir'aun said this to deceive his followers, and because he feared that something might enter their hearts after he had ordered his minister to build him a tower, so he said, "I certainly think that he is a liar." Yet Fir'aun himself was lying in this statement. He did not truly believe that Musa was a liar. Therefore, do not be deceived by the leaders and imams of misguidance, or by the manipulation and deception they employ. And this is not limited to political leaders who possess authority. It also includes influential callers who invite people to their destructive ideas and corrupt morals. They use manipulation and deception in ways that can become a trap for anyone who lacks insight. This warning is especially relevant when messages enter our lives constantly through our phones, social media, entertainment, news, schools, workplaces, and popular culture. A confident voice is not necessarily a truthful voice. A popular claim is not necessarily a sound claim. And repeating an idea does not transform it into reality. The believer uses his intellect to recognize the truth, expose falsehood, and remain anchored to revelation. But these verses also warn us that the intellect does not remain unaffected by our choices. Persistent sin, lying, extravagance, pride, and doubt gradually change the heart's ability to recognize the truth. Imam al-Ghazi mentions regarding Allah's statements, "Indeed, Allah does not guide one who is a transgressor and a persistent liar." And in this way, Allah allows to stray whoever is a transgressor and filled with doubt. These verses indicate that persisting in sin, lying, and harboring doubts about the religion may become a cause for the doors of guidance to be closed to a person. Obedience, by contrast, opens the door to guidance because it is an expression of gratitude. As Allah says, "If you are grateful, I will surely give you more." Gratitude is what preserves a blessing, while ingratitude exposes it to disappearance. And Ibn Uthaymeen mentions regarding the same verse, "Thus Allah allows to stray whoever is a transgressor and filled with doubt." It also implies that whoever remains within the limits set by Allah and possesses certainty regarding what must be believed is among those furthest from misguidance. This is understood from the verse by implication. If Allah leads astray the one who is excessive and doubtful, then He guides the one who remains within His limits, possesses certainty in his faith, and believes with conviction. Misguidance does not normally begin with a person openly deciding to reject everything they know to be true. It often begins with one compromise. First, a person commits the sin while recognizing that it is wrong. Then they excuse it. Then they defend it. Eventually, they redefine it as good and begin seeing the reminder itself as the problem. Allah, He says, "Thus Pharaoh's evil deeds were made appealing to him." The beginning of destruction is when a person's bad deeds are made to appear beautiful to them, so that they begin to see them as good, and we ask Allah to protect us from that. Pharaoh had intelligence, but pride controlled it. The believing man also had intelligence, but faith guided it. One became increasingly manipulative and spiritually blind. The other became increasingly wise and courageous. So as we walk away from today's episode, choose one recurring message that you hear all the time that could be entering your life and examine it carefully. Where does it come from? Who is the one who said it? What does it assume? And is it in line with Allah's guidance or not? We ask Allah the Almighty to grant us the courage to stand for the truth, the wisdom to speak it well, and the sincerity to call others to it. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.